Welcome to Inside Truck Simulators. I'm Darren Ganji with my good buddy,
Sean Cole.
And today we have, yes, you heard it right, Truck Simulator. We're reviewing Euro Truck Simulator 2. And yes, this is definitely a diversion from what we usually talk about. Actually, we had a lot of requests for this.
You're right, we had a lot of requests, but it's definitely not a racing game.
No racing involved. And a few people that I told we've got this, they figured it was like what Ritza's doing with the truck racing.
Right.
That's not that. That's not this. This is you are simulating driving a freight truck.
Like an 18-wheeler.
18-wheeler, yeah.
Eastbound and down.
Well, we're in Europe, though. Got my trucker hat on here. And, yeah, so this is obviously a diversion. Sean and I have always wanted to drive an 18-wheeler.
It's going to be my next career.
Yeah, he's definitely going to do that. And back in the 80s, early 80s, my brother and I played a game on the Intellivision called Truckin'. I found a YouTube video of it.
Right.
Talk about cheese.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Damon and I had a great time playing it, so.
My brother and I played Hard Truck. I think that was like 96, 98 in that range, but pretty cheese too.
Anyway, this puts you behind the wheel of a big rig in Europe, all the way from the UK, Poland, all the way through Europe. So you can drive everywhere. And this is obviously the second version. Have you ever tried a truck simulator? Was that?
No, but I've been to this company's website a few times and thought about buying it because I wanted it so bad.
Sean wasn't allowed to try this or get into this because he ended up coming over to the man cave yesterday and was in trucker heaven.
And that software company is SCS Software. And like I said, I've been to their website. They've been known for some deer hunting, hunter games, a bunch of different truck simulators, bus simulator. But this version, Truck Simulator 2. Yeah, the bus one looked really cool.
I passed a lot of buses.
Yeah, a lot of civilian cars out there. Anyway, this goes for €29.95 Euro or $39.95 in the US.
Yeah, it's compatible. It's PC only. Compatible. Thrustmaster T500 works great. I got a big old MOMO wheel on it. It's awesome. I got the Clubsport pedals attached, TH8RS shifter, and one button box. So yeah, you can do a lot with it. Triple screen compatible. So we're running in triple screens. Actually, Sean, why don't we get to the box cover?
Yeah, at least what they have to say about it.
Yep. Travel across Europe as king of the road, a trucker who delivers important cargo across impressive distances. With dozens of cities to explore from the UK, Belgium, Italy, the Netherlands, Poland, and many more, your endurance, skill, and speed will all be pushed to their limits. If you've got what it takes to be part of an elite trucking force, get behind the wheel and prove it. I like that.
Yeah, and that's true.
Yep.
Some of the game features include transport a vast variety of cargo across more than 60 European cities. Run your own business, which continues to grow even as you complete your freight deliveries. Build your own fleet of trucks, buy garages, hire drivers, manage your company for maximum profits.
A varied amount of truck tuning that ranges from performance to cosmetic changes. Customize your vehicles with optional lights, bars, horns, beacons, smoke exhausts. I didn't know about that.
I hadn't seen you.
You know, I don't think I got far enough yet.
Well, I did see like dust coming off a combine that was working on the side of the road. But
no, but smoke exhaust.
I haven't. Oh, but we haven't had like the bah. Well, you got to go external camera to see that.
No, I don't have stacks going out. Anyway, and more. Thousands of miles of real-world networks with hundreds of famous landmarks and structures. So that's pretty much the box cover. Now we tell them the minimum and recommended system requirements for the PC.
And those minimum requirements are Windows XP Vista or Windows 7 on a dual-core CPU, 2.4 gigahertz, 2 gigabytes of RAM, graphics card with 256 megabytes of memory, like a GeForce 7600 GT card. That'd be a good minimum card.
Or better, right?
Yeah.
And then the recommended is Windows 7 or I would imagine Windows 8. I'm not sure how Windows 8 is for gaming. I heard something about resource, but anyway. Dual core CPU, 3.0 gigahertz. I'd say quad core.
Yeah.
4 gigabyte of RAM, graphics card with 1024 megabytes of memory. And then a 450 class GeForce GTS or better. Now, for triple screens, I'm running dual 580s and I can only run at medium graphic settings.
Yeah.
Because the world's just humongous. So if I tried to go any higher, I started getting some frame glitches,
right.
Pauses and stuff like that. So,
sure.
So yeah, it's definitely going to take a powerful system to run full triples. Now, I haven't run with a single monitor, but it looks pretty amazing from the screenshots.
Well, in the triples, you feel like you're really in that truck.
Yeah, you can look over to the side, and that's a lot of fun. So yeah, triples are definitely, I'll take the graphics hit.
Yeah. But you're only running at like medium level graphics. I mean, I've seen the difference between like the screenshots and the way we were running it on your rig, and this graphics could be amazing on a really, really built system.
And even on the medium settings,
yeah,
they're really cool. I mean, it's not like I'm like thinking I'm driving trucking from Intellivision. so that's gonna wrap up first half of the show, the box cover stuff. Anything else you want to say before we get to the meat and potatoes?
No, I'll save it for then.
When we come back, we're going to go over our categories for software reviews, physics, graphics, stuff like that. Give it a rating, final thoughts, and we're out of here when we come back. GT chassis racing rigs provided by Human Racing. Go to humanracing.co.th.
Welcome back to Inside Truck Driving
Simulator. Inside Euro Truck Simulator.
I'm Sean Cole with Darren Ganji, and we're going to get right to the big categories, the things that we focus on for any racing title or driving simulation, and that starts with graphics. And right off the bat, I'm going to say, we mentioned it before break, the graphics are nicely done in this game, and on a top system, they're actually pretty amazing.
Yep. And on a single monitor, they're probably even more amazing.
Yeah. They've got great night-to-day transitions. You've got good rain effects. You've got triple screen compatibility. They've got a lot going on in the world. So it's not just the driving, but I mean, you've got all the civilian traffic. You've got things happening on the side of the road, the landmarks.
Yeah, like you were talking about,
yeah,
too. Yeah, rivers going under bridges.
Yeah.
You know, one of the cool effects that you noticed yesterday when it rained, the way the water was pooling on the mirror,
yeah,
was just really cool effects. So really nicely done. And again, you can really configure it to your system. So from that minimum system we talked about up to, you know, the systems we have, you know, you can really get it dialed in. Triple screens, like Sean said, are definitely a huge plus.
Yeah.
So next up, physics, and really good, I would say. Better than I expected. Very realistic. You and I talked about the brakes being a little bit too touchy, but then we were in our IGP race this morning, and yeah, they're touchy when you don't have a load or your load is light.
Right.
But man, you load that thing up with some heavy stuff. Like I'm towing some tractors right now.
Right.
And you have to plan your braking distances much better. Remember you missed that, I don't know if we got it on camera, Sean missed an off-ramp. Couldn't brake and just blazed through this off-ramp and on-ramp and got back on. But
I hate to say it, I've done that in real life.
Have you really?
Yeah, in a car that had failing brakes. It was a VW bug. What can you expect?
Something else about the physics, and we're not sure if this is the way these trucks are built in real life, but there's a limiter that stops us from going over 55.
Right.
Is that, and I know cars can do that, like, you know, my Saturn stops at 105. It won't go, it kicks it back.
Right.
So I'm wondering, is that, maybe you guys can help us out, and it's actually a good thing because you can get busted for speeding.
Yeah, and so go down a hill, you can break that speed limiter.
Right. So yeah, I flipped it. I thought originally it was a little too grippy, and I don't have that on camera. We do have some shots of Sean flipping it. We just going crazy trying to damage the thing. But I was going around this corner. I saw it was coming tight, and I turned it, and all of a sudden it just got to that point. I'm like, oh man, it's going over crazy on its side. But yeah, it's physics are really cool.
Yeah, I think they did a good job on the physics. I mean, I don't think the emphasis on every parameter of moving car is done the same as it is in a racing simulation. But they're taking into so many other accounts, you kind of have to know that's some of the computations going on.
Yep.
I was a little desensitized from the feeling, but you know, on a truck, it's like, how much power is steering? It's like, I can't imagine you feel anything in the wheel.
truckers, I'm sure there may be a handful of you guys out there. Tell us, how much can you feel the wheel? And you know, if anybody you live close, bring your truck by. We want to drive it. But
absolutely.
How do you feel? Do you feel the wheel? I mean, do you feel like in iRacing, you know, the tracks are so detailed? Let's get to force feedback. Speaking of which,
yeah, that's where we're at.
you know, all you can really feel are the crashes. I felt actually I went over some really bumpy road. I felt some vibration.
Right.
But I'm not feeling a whole lot of force feedback.
Right. I'd like to feel a little bit like I reversing the truck kept stalling it, and I imagine I watched trucks do that in real life, and they kind of do, and I wasn't getting that, so I would have liked a little something there maybe in the force feedback to kind of simulate that stalling it out.
Yep. So force feedback is a little more just vibrations, and like when there's collisions, I mean, you definitely feel it in the wheel.
And when I was running over cars and buses, it was pulling the wheel, you know, for sure.
Why were you doing that?
Isn't that what you do with a truck?
He went rogue. This guy went rogue. I made him switch accounts so he didn't do it on my, because I'm taking this seriously, man. I just hired Frank as my second driver. He's in my Renault now. We'll get to that later. Anyway, next, controls. And again, I mentioned you can map a bunch of stuff, which is really cool, especially in a title like this where you've got so many controls that you can use.
Right.
You can map your windshield wipers, your blinkers, your, you know, there's a thing called a Jake brake or a engine brake. You turn that on, and if you've ever heard it, a truck doing that, it's using its engine brake. You can flip that thing on.
Yeah.
So you can map everything.
And that takes us to sounds. You just heard Darren with the big Jake brake sound. That's in there. You've got the cool sound of a diesel engine right from the moment you fire it up, and that whole chugging sound. You've got turbocharger, whine. Really good sounds from the game.
Turbo
overall.
or supercharger?
Supercharger, maybe? I'm not sure. Again, I'm not a truck guy yet.
Some kind of forced induction.
Yeah.
Making lots of noise. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And then beyond that, one thing that I thought was really cool, especially in this, but the music. I mean, if you're going to drive a truck, you're going to listen to music while driving. And you could even do your own music. So you had your whole library in there. So when I got in there, I was listening to some 311, some Van Halen while cruising in the truck.
Exactly. And you can actually tune into some internet, I haven't tried it, but you can tune into some internet radio stations and do that as well.
No CB though.
Nope, no CB. Lots of great low-end rumble. I don't know if you know, there was no transducer hooked up.
Are you serious?
That was all woofer.
Oh, it was, wow, that's heavy.
My transducers are hooked up to SimVibe right now.
I just assumed.
No, dude, that was all woofer. And man, it has such low-end rumble at the right times. It was literally shaking my house. I felt it in the ground with Sean, so it's really cool. Next up, UI, or the user interface. Really classy, really nicely done UI. Even the music's nicely done, but easy to navigate. You know, I keep thinking I need to go to a manual, you know, to read up on how to do things, and everything's just right there. I haven't had to go look.
Right.
I was trying to get Frank, my second driver, to drive, and I kept thinking I had to get a job for him. He does it all on his own. He goes and gets his own job, and next thing I know, cha-ching! Nice. Frank's making me some money in my Renault. So, yeah, love the UI, and just, it's really well done. Which takes us to the gameplay. So, just how the game...
Yeah.
I guess maybe I should kind of talk about that a little bit more.
You're a little deeper in the game. I came over and just gave it a fun run. Well, I ran a few full-length runs. Anyway, yeah.
You start as a driver, and you can just take jobs from people, and you're hired as a driver. You don't own a truck, and you can get loans through a bank and get, like I mentioned, I'm like $500,000 in debt right now, but you buy a garage, you start building up your fleet of trucks, you hire drivers to drive those trucks, and they're out making you money while you're driving too. So really cool management aspect of the game if you like that type of thing, and I really got into it, enjoyed it, and I'm still going to keep enjoying it. This is really a great diversion title for me. I've been going through some stuff in my life right now, and I haven't been able to focus on sim racing, and maybe some of you saw it in a recent episode of ours, but I just haven't been able to sit and focus on, because sim racing takes such high levels of concentration. This does not.
Right.
I mean, you got to concentrate on driving, but it's so, you know, it's just a nice diversion.
You can't drift too far, though. You'd be off-roading.
No. Another thing cool about the gameplay is your driver actually gets fatigued, and if you have him driving too long, he starts yawning. You had him actually starting to close his eyes on you, and
There's
you
one
get
point
fined.
I couldn't even like start the car. He was like struggling just to cope with basic skills, it seemed.
Yep.
Or I was.
Now, this next one, you are an expert on, because I've been taking such good care of my truck, but we wanted to see what it would do.
You know, we've never got a game in here that I didn't immediately start running things into the wall. I mean, I want to see what I can do to make a mess of things. And this game has a lot of fun to be had on the damage level, but nothing visual that I liked. I wanted to see...
No visual damage.
Yeah, I wanted to see torn up carnage, and there was none of that. Now, you can kind of take one of those BMWs and kind of cartwheel it in front of you. You can even knock over buses. I got my car. You can jackknife the truck. Now, okay, the clown stuff, yes, you can ram in everything and knock them around, but no damage. Now, on the damage or the driving aspects, though, when I took a corner too quickly and oversteered, that thing jackknifed like a truck.
And you actually, there's no visual damage. You get physical damage because you look at the bar, the meter, and your truck and your trailer can get to 90, 100% damage and not fire up.
Yeah,
you had to get it towed to get them. So the physical damage is there. It's just not visual, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Next up, AI, or artificial intelligence. For the most part, pretty smart. I had my first, and I don't have it on film because I wasn't filming at this point. I had my first real dumb moment by the AI. Actually, I'll tell you where they're dumb. Merging. You know, the lane runs out, and the dude will literally stop until it is completely clear instead of trying to get, merge in.
Right.
That's where they're dumb. And I'm just driving down a 2-lane road yesterday, and a trucker without a trailer, so he's just, driving, just stops like 50 yards in front of the stoplight, and I wasn't expecting it. Boom! I punched it right into the back of him with my brand new Volvo.
Aww.
I was kind of bummed.
Yeah.
But
one thing about the AI I like, you mentioned the blinkers. If you come to a stoplight and you put on your blinker, the other cars will actually flash you and say, no, go ahead. So there's like respect from the AI.
Yeah, and so they are, and if you're changing lanes, they'll back off if you put your blinker on. So they do have their moments. And hey, we've said it in the past. I mean, would you drive in a car with a robot?
And these are robots all over the place, not even on a track.
Yeah, so nicely done, though. Next up, vehicles or trucks. I own two now. I own a Renault and a Volvo. So they have licensed real trucks. And there was a Scania.
Yeah, they had a bunch of Iveco or something like that. They have a bunch of... All of them are real trucks, I believe. I don't think... Yeah, and they're all known European trucks.
Different levels of trucks with horsepower ratings. Then you can upgrade the trucks. Yeah. So... lots to do there.
And for you American fans, no Peterbilt, no Kenworth, no nose front trucks. These are all the flat guys like Europeans are more accustomed to.
Unless we haven't got to one of those, but
I looked at the list. I didn't see any there either.
You know what I'd love to see is, they talk about expansions. We're going to get to the world now, usually we talk about tracks, but in this case we're going to talk about the world, the terrain. And they say something about expansion. So I'd love to see a U.S. expansion to this game. I don't know if they've done one. I'd love to be able to drive trucks all over, areas. But what was cool about it is we're driving over areas that were similar to real life and had, landmarks and stuff like that. But, we're getting to explore Europe to an extent too, which is kind of cool. Sure. I went to Newcastle in the UK yesterday. And
we're talking a massive world. So when you think of like a Forza Horizon with their open world, but nothing compares to this, because you're talking, again, Poland to England. So this is a lot of terrain. The other thing for me when it comes to that world is that you know which region you're in. So when you get to England, actually, I'll save some of this for more of my thoughts on playing.
We're getting to final thoughts now. So we'll just transition into it. Well, actually, want to rate it first? Fun factor and then rate it.
Okay.
So actually, one more thing I want to say about the world too is if you're wondering if it's actual real world mileage, it's not. Sean was clicking off mileage. We were watching it yesterday. And it'd say you got to go 160 miles and it's going to take you 4 hours or whatever, and you can get it done. It's like almost like 10%. It seems.
It's like time acceleration type mileage.
Yeah, so a 4-hour run is going to take you about 40 minutes ish. So it's not real distances. So I mean, you can go from, I think I went from Belgium to the UK in an hour and a half. Take a ferry. You got to get on a ferry and pay a fee. So now, last category, fun factor. If you haven't gathered it by now, we both had a lot of fun with this. I mean, this isn't adrenaline pumping racing, but this was just, I had a blast.
Yeah, I had a total blast too. I'm with you there.
You know what, one thing we didn't mention is going through the gears. You can map everything. Now we're going to get into the final thoughts. There's 3 different ways you can map your transmission or your shifter. And we got it right now on the TH8, so it's first through sixth, and then you push a button, we got one of our paddles, and then first gear becomes seventh, and you got a 12-speed transmission. So really, you have to use a clutch, or you miss shift and
stall it out even.
Yep. So, actually, before we get to final thoughts, because we already started them, what are we gonna score it?
You want me to score it?
Yeah.
I would give this game an 8. I'd love to give it a 9. I'd love it to be
give it
a 10.
9. I'd give it a 9 out of 10 for what it is. Because again, I think the graphics, we're running in triple screens. I think the graphics, now we're in final thoughts for sure. I think the graphics are pretty awesome. I think the fact that the triple screen compatibility is as good as it is. I mean, you've got your navigation over on the right.
Yeah.
Everything's spread out properly.
Yeah.
The perspective's right.
Yeah.
You know, there's titles on the racing scene, WRC, that don't come in triples.
That's very true.
So I think I was really impressed. I was not expecting to have this much fun with the game.
So you're in your final thoughts now?
Well, I gave it a 9, and those were my final. Yeah, that's pretty much my final thoughts. And I pretty much covered everything I wanted to. What about you?
I had a blast with this game. I wish I had more time to devote to it. Like I said, I've always sort of fantasized about being a truck driver, and it's a lot of fun. Getting to get in and deal with backing up a big rig into a stall, or backing up and hooking up your trailer.
Thank you for hooking up's easier than backing it up.
Yeah.
Talk about that for a second. Backing up a big trailer
Talk about it for an hour, because that's how many times I'll go around.
Yeah. I actually got, towards the end of the night last night, because I was on, I don't know, I'm probably on my 10th load now. But I've actually almost, I can't say I've mastered it, but I've really gotten a lot better at backing a trailer up.
Yeah. The other thing for me is when I'm driving, like I started out with the new career and I was very low, so I was just carrying around a box of rice, I think it was. And I'm driving along and I see guys going by with like construction equipment or logs, and it was like, oh, I want that run, you know? So I had a lot of fun kind of choosing my runs, and that's another aspect of the game that I thought was fun. But picking a run that suits your energy, so if you're almost tired, you better not take a long one, because if you're late, you're going to get docked. Yep. The speeding, the fines. I mean, I think they
gotta sleep.
Yeah, they took a lot of aspects that I think are real to trucking.
Yep.
And put them in the game, and I like that because it is a simulation title, and so that's what I expect from it. And I think they hit a home run there. And honestly, maybe I should pull it up to a 9, because they're not a real old development firm on this one, and it's like, if this went like the path that Flight Sim went with expansions, I could see this being incredible. I mean, if it was like open world, I could get on the CB, or they had like a detailed expansion pack of a certain city that you want to know. Because like some trucking is inner city. You know, like how cool would it be to have like super detailed cities too.
Yep.
So anyway, I mean, I had a lot of fun. I could see the future of this one being really incredible too.
I agree with all of those. And that's actually going to wrap things up. We hope you've enjoyed this review of Euro Truck Simulator 2. Again, I'd like to thank SCS Software for hooking both of us up with codes. Sean, I guess you can...
I got a code?
Oh, maybe I didn't give you the code.
I was forbidden to play.
You got a code too. So now Sean's going to be allowed to play now. Oh, God. He's never going to do anything else. I'm going to hear he's going to be on like level 20 by next Monday or something. Anyway, we hope you've enjoyed it. Check it out at EuroTruckSimulator2.com. Again, €29.95 or $39.95 US. We highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun, especially if you got a really cool rig you can enjoy it with. It's definitely worth picking it up. And if you've ever wanted to use your equipment for something besides sim racing, it's great for that. So that's going to do it. For Sean Cole, I'm Darren Ganji. Visit our website, isrtv.com. Subscribe to us here on YouTube. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We'll see you guys next time.
I had to slam on the brakes for a guy making a left in front of me.